Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ari, also known as Undecided Queen on Instagram if you wanted to know. I am filming from my bedroom because my mom was in the dining room where I normally film and she wouldn't leave. So, yeah. So, I apologize for these glare off my glasses and off my forehead because you can definitely see it right there. But it's fine, it's fine. There's a few things I want to apologize for. First are my ashy lips because I've managed to buy 3 of the Vaseline, they're like this big or something, the little Vaseline um, soft lip little thingy. I've managed to buy 3 of them and lose all 3. And I'm just like, I've been praying like, Lord, if it's in your will, please help me find my chapstick. And I have not found it. So I guess it's not in his will. I'll have to buy another one. Also, you guys are going to have to bear with sitting through these choppy introductions. I still have not figured out quite how to do it. I've gotten a few ideas from watching other YouTubers who will post like a blank like a black slide or a white slide and have their name pop up with some music. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, even when I was making videos a year and a half, 2 years ago, I still didn't have an intro. So, y'all just gonna have to sit through it. If you want to skip it, that's fine. But as you guys can tell from the title of this video, it is titled, Why Wasn't Well, I don't know if I'm going to title it this, but essentially the video is talking about why I wasn't successful in my first attempt of nursing school. And I apologize for looking down. I have my notes, handy dandy notes here. So, yeah. So let's just get straight into it. Number one is comparison. So I compared myself to my friends, to other people in nursing school. So when you get in, you'll have the people who already have a little bit of a background in like the healthcare field. Maybe they're nurses aides, maybe they're medical assistants, maybe they're I don't know, they're techs at a hospital. So like they they have a knowledge, their knowledge base isn't the same as a nurse, but because they've naturally already been in a hospital for however many years or months, like they know how to come in contact with patients. They may already know how to feed. They may already know how to help patients get dressed. So like you'll have these people who are in nursing school. You'll also have people who maybe they volunteered at a hospital, maybe they volunteered on, the med-surg floor and they helped patients. Maybe they read to them or they, played games with them. You'll also come into contact with people who are nurses. If you're doing an RN program, there will be people who are in the nursing program who are LVNs, who are, that LVNs are, maybe, I don't know if VN is a thing, but they might be LVNs, they might be EMTs, they might be paramedics. So they already have a background in the healthcare industry. They already know what it's like to work with other RNs or work under RNs or work with the doctors, or because of their prior their prior history, right? So, and then you also have people who are like me, like have no medical, have no healthcare background, like I volunteered at a hospital, but like I volunteered where I volunteered, I just, I put patients in a room and I gave them a gown to change into, and that was it. If people were in the waiting room for a long time, I would offer them like some orange juice or like some water, but it wasn't like an extensive, like, I've seen patients in the hospital type situation. Okay, so I say comparison, like I realized that all these other people in nursing school had these different backgrounds, but I still compared myself to them, and that really wasn't fair to me because, like, I feel like when you compare yourself to others, you'll always fall short because you'll always be able to find something that they're better at that you're not good at, you know? And so like in 2018 when I was in nursing school, or when I was doing that first attempt or whatever, you know, I would go to like my skills course, which is like where you go to like it's essentially like a simulation lab. There's different what are those things called, like mannequins, you know, in beds, and you practice skills on them, whether it's like CPR or, you know, like you practice changing positions with the mannequins, you practice medical administration. Like I would compare myself to the, you know, to like some of the other people in there who are maybe who maybe were medical assistants or who were already LVNs, and that's already not fair to me. And I would be like sad and depressed about, I felt like I was trying my hardest and I low key was not getting the information. And here goes so and so who's, you know, who's a tech, or here goes so and so who's an LVN, and she just did this Foley on this mannequin on the first try of her skills, you know, exam or whatever, and passed and wasn't even nervous about it. And here I am, like stuttering over words, can't get sentences out. I'm shaking. You know, I had, yeah, you know, I ended up having to redo it. But it's like so and so who's an LVN has done many Foleys. You know, this isn't her first Foley. Like she's done them on people. You know, because it's within her job description. So I just realized this video probably gonna be long, so I apologize. But you know, in terms of comparison, like it wasn't fair for me to compare myself to somebody else who had experience that I didn't have, you know? So when you go into nursing school, like you don't need to compare yourself, because like all those different people that I listed off who, you know, have decided to become a nurse, but, you know, they were EMT, or maybe they're currently EMTs and assistants and techs and LVNs. Like, don't compare yourselves to them, okay? Like, your end goal is to be an RN, not to say, like, your end goal isn't to be better than them, but your end goal is to, you know, be a competent nurse who knows what they're doing so that they can take care of their patients, you know? So, if, like just don't compare yourself, because that's a hole that you don't want to fall into. Number 2 is I didn't sacrifice like I should have. Like everybody says, man, my nose is oily. Goodness gracious. Everybody says that, you know, once you go to nursing school, you're not going to have a life. And no, I feel like I feel like you can have a life, but you have to know how to sacrifice, when to sacrifice. And you know, you have to know what that looks like. So in 2018, I was going on all the trips. Like what? Like before I got into nursing school, I paid for like this singles conference that was in Houston, and like I paid for it, and then like a week later found out I got in, and I was like, oh well, snap. But I had already paid for it, couldn't get my money back. So like that trip was probably like I, you know, in terms of trips that I shouldn't have gone on, I can't blame myself for that trip because I paid for it before I got into nursing school. And so like, but you know, with that trip, I went to Houston. It was like the first week of school. I brought all my books. They didn't come out the trunk. What? This was the first time I had made a big drive like that by myself. Like, for those who don't know, I live in Dallas, so Dallas to Houston is like 4 hours, right? So I was like, you know, I brought all my books in my backpack, and I was like, oh, I just made this drive. My car didn't break down on the road. Like, praise God, you know what I'm saying? I got all the way down there, and then, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna study, you know. No. I already know myself. Like, I didn't know myself then, but I know myself now. Like, if I go on a trip, like, out of town and I bring my backpack, like, chances are I'm not gonna study. Like, I think now I've gotten better to where, like, I'll be like, okay, like, if I want to go somewhere, I'll try and finish my stuff before I leave. That way I don't feel bad about having, like, a great time down there. But Like for the most part, if I'm going somewhere and my friends are gonna want to go shopping, like I'm gonna want to go shopping too, because I want to sit at home and study. I done already driven down here, so that's just one example. Like I drove to Houston, like Labor Day weekend, which was the first week of school. I drove to Austin twice, like once to go get my sister so we could go to the fair. Like, who does that? I drove down there again for like we have a fall break, and I drove down there just because I wanted to just spend time with them. I should have been reading to get caught up, because I was probably behind, but I was like, family, like family, listen, I need to spend time with them. And family's important, don't get me wrong, but like any chance that I could take to go drive somewhere that was like, and I had like days off, I took it for the most part. Yeah, I took it. And this also goes back to comparison, because I had a friend, she's still a good friend of mine. She's from Houston, right? But let's just say we all live in Dallas and that our nursing school is in Dallas. It's not, but let's just say that, right? So she's from Houston, right? And she would go to Houston like every other weekend, like the whole semester while we were in nursing school. And I was like, she going to Houston every other weekend. Why can't I drive to Austin? Like, it's the same. If she's not studying until like, like she would go down there to like help watch her nephew, right? And she would be like, yeah, I didn't get any studying done. And I was like, well, if she can go to Houston every other weekend and not study and still make B's on the test, like, why can't I do it? Like, no, Ari, what? No, y'all are not the same person. Y'all don't learn the same. So I say too late in sacrificing, because nursing school requires sacrifices. You have to know when to be like, oh, I can't go to that, or oh, I can't do that, and know when to sacrifice and when you can do things, because you can still, go to the movies. You can still go to retreats or, lock-ins or whatever it is you want to do, but it comes in moderation. You can't just be like, I'm going to go to this, and that, and expect yourself to still pass, You're setting yourself up for another hole to fall into, you know what I'm saying? Number 3 is I didn't believe in myself. So I feel like these are all related to comparison. Comparison is just a deadly trap. Don't fall into it, y'all. Please don't fall into it. I didn't believe in myself. So like, I was always like this nervous, like shaky person, I guess, if you guys want to say, because like, I kept looking at other people who had like this huge confidence in all their skills, and I was like, I don't have that confidence. Like what if I'm not meant to be a nurse? And like, I feel like I came a long way from the beginning of that fall semester towards the end of the semester. One of my clinical instructors was like you'll be a great nurse. You have compassion. You actually care for your patients. Like, I can see that in you. And like, that's a great compliment to have, for someone to be like, I can see you being like an excellent nurse. It's like, wow, like that really makes me feel great inside. But like, I feel like I feel as though please excuse me, I can't get my words together. I feel like it's great if other people believe in you, but if you don't believe in yourself, or you don't see these things in yourself, like, then it doesn't matter. Somebody, like, and I can use the analogy of someone calling you pretty, right? Like, someone can tell you up and down, like, oh, you have beautiful eyes, like the way you do your makeup is beautiful, like I love your hair, like I just love all of these things about you. But if you don't see it on the inside, like, then it's not gonna matter. Like, that might as well just be talking to a wall, And because I didn't believe in myself, like, all the things that people were saying to me, like, it was just bouncing off. Like, I wasn't taking it in. Number 4 is bad budgeting skills. So the first time around, I had like a nursing fund that like my dad or my parents had saved for me to go to nursing school. They were like, here's, this much money. You need to use it to pay for, gas to get to school. You need to use it to pay for your tuition, your books, like anything that's school related, you need to pay for it, right? Tell me why me and my smart self was like, all those trips that I was taking, I took it out of that fund. Like all of those trips were not school related, okay? They were not school related, but I was like, I'm going to the fair. Like I need like $60 so I can get like 50 coupons and so I can get some food. Like you don't even ride rides. I don't ride rides, y'all. I don't ride rides. I'm that scary friend who go to the fair or to the amusement park with you and wait by the exit with your backpack. Because I'm like, I ain't trying to meet Jesus today. And I was like, yeah, I need to take $60 to go to the fair so I can get some food, so I can ride some rides. What? You need to leave that $60 in your account so you can get to school next week. So bad budgeting habits. I spent my last dollar on food, okay? Like, and not even think twice about it. And I was like, well, I gotta eat today and I gotta eat tomorrow. So that's $10 here and that's $10 there. Like, I would have been better off, like, meal prepping, like, at the beginning of the week and buying groceries for the week or for, the month or whatever. And like spending that or like saving that money and making those meals ahead of time instead of just being like, oh, well, I'm gonna go to Panda Express and get me a rice bowl, $7. I'm gonna go to Denny's and get me some French toast and eggs. Well, that's $8. That's now $15. You could have went to Walmart and bought some chicken breasts and bought a bag of rice and had chicken and rice for them 2 days that you spent that $15. So I had bad budgeting skills. Number 5 is I listened to bad advice. I didn't think it was bad advice at the time, but funny thing about life is it's meant to be lived forward and understood backwards. Did I say that right? I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So towards the end of the semester, like once I realized that, like I stopped going on trips like after October, but by then, like the semester's already halfway over, right? So my dad was like, well, you're studying, you're putting in all this time and all of this effort. Like you need to, like, if you need more time, maybe you should like not go to church so you can like have time to study. And I listened because I was like, well, he has his master's degree and he has his bachelor's degree and like he already has all his degrees. So maybe this is, like good advice, right? It wasn't. I was already depressed, like I already like wasn't passing. I wasn't passing any of my tests. Like I hadn't passed any of my tests actually. The only tests that I passed this semester were my finals, which showed that I had learned something that semester, because you don't just make like 70s and 72s on tests and then make an 80 on the final if the final is comprehensive, if you weren't learning anything. But I just lost my whole train. Oh, I'm sorry. But what was I saying? But yeah, so like I was like, okay, well, like I just need to like not go to church. Like at this time, maybe it was around Thanksgiving, I was like, I don't remember what time it was, but we only had like a month of school left. So I was like, if I don't go to church for like 3 to 4 weeks, it's probably not probably not going to be a big deal. Lies. I needed to go to church. I always need to go to church. Like, I don't care who is telling me like you don't need to go, like they lying. Maybe that works for them, but I need Jesus in my life because I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, I listened to bad advice, okay? Number 6 is I believe that God had left me, okay? Like I was so depressed that semester. Like I was like, I went on these trips, and then once I stopped going, like I didn't go to any trips. I didn't go to like I didn't go to any like Bible studies. I think I went to like one Bible study that whole semester. So I stopped going to Bible studies. I stopped going to trips. I stopped going to like committee meetings. Like I stopped going to church. I think I just said that. Y'all forgive me. You know, like I felt like I was either going to school, to sleep, to study, or to eat, and that was it. Like, or I might have went to the store, and just like going to those like four places, like I got depressed. I was like, I'm not, like every time I'm leaving the house, I'm leaving the house to go to school, to study all day, to come home to study all day, you know, to take a test and not pass it, like, and not pass it by like a question, because anything in my school under a 75 is failing. So like there are a few tests where I got like a 72 or a 74, meaning that I missed a question, and that is what kept me from passing, you know. And so I was like this is depressing. Like I'm depressed. I'm literally depressed. And like my mom, well, let me not put her out there, but some of my family members were like, you know, if you're this depressed, then maybe nursing is not the way for you to go, and maybe you need to, you know, do something else with your life, and, you know, just more bad advice that I didn't need to hear. You know, I'm already sitting in the hole, okay? You're not helping it. You're not helping me to feel better. But I really did think God left me, because I was like, okay, first of all, I wasn't even trying to get into nursing school. Like I only applied so my dad would leave me alone. Because my dad was like, you know, because I had taken my HESI exam and I had passed it. And, you know, I had applied to these two schools that were far because I was trying to get out of Dallas. You know what I'm saying? They were still in Texas, but I was just trying to get away from Dallas. And I applied to these two schools, was super excited because I was like, I can have my own apartment and buy my own dishes and like yada yada yada. Got denied to both schools, and then was like, well, you know what, Jesus, I done tried. Like, listen, I don't like being rejected. No one likes being rejected. Like, I'm not about to do this again and be hurt and sad and depressed again. And my dad was like, no, don't give up on your dream. Like, everybody fails. You just got to get back up, which is true. It is true. And so I applied and got back in, and then I was just like, or I applied to my school and then got in and was like, well, snap, I wasn't actually trying to get into school, but here we are, you know? And so like, I felt like, because God has always been with us, he sees everything, he knows all, like how or why would you, like this was me mentally talking to God. I was like, why would you allow me to get into school, to not pass any tests, to spend all of this money, to fail and be depressed? Like, why would you allow this to happen to me? Like, why would you allow me to fall into this hole? Like, this is depressing. Like, this is sad. Like, if you wanted me to spend $7,000 or waste $7,000, you could have allowed me to win the lottery, okay? And I would have blew that $7,000. I would have went shopping, bought a whole bunch of stuff I don't need. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I really felt like God left me, and I was like, why would you allow your child to go through these things? Like, you know, nursing school is not like, it's not like, you know, taking English and taking speech and taking art, you know, at a normal community college or at a university. It is not like that. Like, nursing school requires you to stay up late at night and you know, miss like Bible studies, and not Bible studies, but like miss, you know, hanging out with friends, and, you know, sacrificing money that you wanted to use to go to the movies, but you're gonna, you know, spend it on this sandwich so you can spend another 4 hours studying, you know. Like, this is not a journey for the weak. Like, why would you allow me to go through all of this stuff when I had already changed my mind just for me to fail? So I felt like God left me, and I was like, wow, like, wow. Number 7, I would like to say it wasn't my time. So if I would have passed, because I originally started in 2018. If I would have passed in 2018 and made it all the way through, like I would be in my 4th semester, about to graduate now, instead of being in my 2nd semester. Like, my if I would have passed the first time, I would have never had to like try to get back in, you know. And with everything with COVID going around now, like the people that I started with, like they're about to graduate. Matter of fact, I think their graduation got moved because like everything's getting canceled. But like I like looking at it now, looking back at it now, like I had to make these bad budgeting decisions. I had to fail these tests like one after, like I had to fail all of my tests. I had to miss passing by a point and a half. Like I had to be depressed. I had to go on these trips so that I would know that like, hey, I can't go to everything. Like I can't just spend this money just because I have it, and I have like I don't necessarily have any needs right now. Like just because I have $10 doesn't mean I should go spend it. Like I should probably save it until I need the $10 for gas money. And I wouldn't have learned these lessons if I didn't take such a heavy fall in 2018. I wouldn't have learned that God doesn't leave us. Like the Bible says, I'll see if I can put it on the screen somewhere. The Bible says, or God says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. You know, so he never left me, but I left him. That's the only way it makes sense, right? And so, like, I had to learn these hard lessons that semester so that I would know what not to do when I got back in, you know? And I always feel like when God disciplines us and when God teaches us a lesson, like they're not always comfortable. They're not always like, oh, you know, like I'm glad he taught me that way. Usually when you have to learn a lesson, like usually when God steps in, like it hurts because we haven't been listening, you know? And I'm not saying that I was just like this huge disobedient, this huge disappointment to God, you know, or, you know, whatever, but there were certain lessons that I had to learn in a certain way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stuck, you know? Like I had to learn how to believe in myself through not having confidence for a whole semester, you know? So, and honestly, I wouldn't want to be in these level fours. Level fours are the people who are in the fourth semester. I would not want to be in their shoes right now. Like with COVID going around, I'm like, do I still want to be a nurse and like take care of people? Like, yes. Like, you know, I know that this is my calling. I know that this is my purpose, but I also know that I'm not ready to be on the front lines yet. And I would low key be freaking out if I was about to graduate just so I could potentially go be on the front lines for COVID, and it's like we don't even have enough masks and, you know, like PPE for the people who have been doing this for years, you know, but it's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, I'm just gonna combine 8 and 9 together. I didn't learn how to study until it was too late, and I didn't have a study group. So study groups are great. Like they're great motivators. Like, hey, like you don't have time to be depressed today. We need to finish this material because we have a test next week. I feel like my study group is great for that. We're good at like building each other back up, especially when we're like tired and we just don't feel like learning no more. We're like, listen, my head is already large. It don't need to be bigger than this. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't learn how to study until like after Thanksgiving. Like after Thanksgiving, there's like 2 weeks of school left. Two and a half of weeks of school left. And I was honestly going to drop that semester because I was like, my average was like a 69. And my friends were like, no, you need to stay in. You can still pass. Like, we believe in you. This is that. And like, I ended up getting like a 80, I think like an 80 for my skills exam and like an 81 for my lecture exam. And that 81, that final, like it brought my average from a 69 to a 73.4. So if I would have dropped it, you know, I wouldn't wouldn't have known like what a semester in nursing school looks like all the way till the end. But yeah, like I didn't realize that I needed to like write. Like I don't know. It was so long ago. And every time I think about it, I'm just like, man, that semester was rough. But yeah, I didn't know how to study until it was too late. If you can bring about the best study habits, um you can bring about the best study habits and be writing all your notes and draw pictures and be listening to videos and all of this, but like by then it was too late. Like I had already taken like the 4 or 5 exams. I had already taken the 4 exams left. By the time I realized how to study, we had 1 exam left in the final. Like it's too late. And that last test I did horrible on. Oh my goodness. Like my notes were great, but I bombed that test. It was awful. And I was like, wow, I really am stupid. But I can't say that, like I learned all of these lessons. And I can tell that it's made me a better student because, I didn't pass that first semester, but I came back and redid that semester and got an 80. Like, huh? God was with me where? Yes, he was the whole time. And I'm in this second semester now. We've taken 3 tests and like we're allowed to drop a test. So like currently my average is a 78.67, but if you drop a test, my average is a 81. I'm like, what? What? Yes, I'm gonna get into this honor society and I'm gonna graduate with this cord. You mark my words. But yeah, this video is 31 minutes. Ain't nobody gonna watch this, but that's fine. This is not for y'all. This is for me, so that when I'm a nurse, I can look back and be like, I struggled. Yeah, I did, but I was cute through my struggle and I made it. I'm sorry. But yes, so these are just some tips that I have. Like, if you can learn from my lesson, if you made it, to the end of this super long 30+ minute video, you can't put a price on wisdom, in my opinion. And if you can learn from my mistakes and not do these things, don't compare yourself, like learn when to sacrifice, learn to believe in yourself, don't listen to bad advice, spend your money wisely. If you can learn these lessons, then I think that you'll be great. Because these are just lessons of what you shouldn't do. But everybody has to make their own list of things that you need to do for nursing school or for whatever schooling you're in. So yeah, thank you for sitting through my ashy lips and my bright forehead and bright nose and tangled hair, but it's fine. Love you guys. Y'all stay safe out here. Make sure you get your exercise in and drink your water. Love y'all.